This week on the first three, we've got a guest. It's a family affair as my sister Sam joins me for a chat about a couple of shows from the spring season. We let the wheel of fate turn and landed on My Home Hero, The Galaxy Next Door, and KamiKatsu. So, what did we think of these three shows? Stay tuned to find out. So this week's guest is my sister Sam. Sam, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. I'm so glad that we're here having a chat about a nice range of shows here.
A very strange range of shows, very different from one another.
We just kind of like plucked a couple of things. We're like, we want to see what everything's about these things, and we got a real variety for you. So, man, so we've had anime in our lives for quite a while. We grew up as kind of 90s kids. So it was like Sailor Moon was around, Dragon Ball Z, those kind of things.
Hell yeah. Cardcaptors. Like Pokemon was really ramping up, and there's Digimon, like the original, not like the 8th season or whatever the hell it's on right now.
Yeah. And then we had those like the late night stuff that would eventually start to trickle in. I remember like Inuyasha being kind of one of the first ones. I was like, whoa, what's this?
That one was like at midnight or at 1 a.m. So I would always have to like set up the VHS to record it. And then I remember this, I accidentally recorded past Inuyasha, and then I recorded Witch Hunter Robin. And I was like, oh, this is all right. And then one of the characters is named Michael Lee. And I was like, okay, I got to watch this now.
I can't believe like they'd pick a show like Witch Hunter Robin to air. Wow, that's actually kind of fits actually. When anime had to be kind of like, I mean, Inuyasha was like kind of like a normal-ish kind of show that you were more accustomed to seeing, and then like something like Witch Hunter Robin, like very edgy kind of anime. That anime had that vibe back then.
Yeah, it was edgy, but it had like the star cast. It was like Crispin Freeman, Dave Wittenberg, and Michelle Ruff. It was like, holy shit.
Whoa.
So many good people.
Winners. Very cool. And then when like the internet started to take off, like things got so much easier. I remember we started watching Full Metal Alchemist. We would download fan subs and stuff.
Yeah, and then buy those like knockoff DVDs where it's just like the translation sort of makes sense. You have to use your imagination a bit, but they were a lot cheaper, and that's all we could afford.
It was really crazy that like eBay back in the day, like it was kind of like the Wild West, where like you could literally just find the most bootleg ass DVDs just up there, and they were coming from usually like Southeast Asia and stuff, but like the price was unbeatable, and you're like, all right, let's give it a shot.
I'll take a risk on this shit. I really want to watch anime.
I can't find it anywhere else. Yeah. So, good times. And now, I mean, present day, it's just like, it's so easy to watch anime, and it's become so much part of the mainstream, which is really cool.
Yeah. You said good times for those times when we had shitty DVDs and whatnot. I'm like, I don't think they were really good times, but they were times.
They were times.
Yeah. Would I go back to it? No, I would not.
Yeah, actually, that was rough trying to get your anime fix that way.
Yeah, no bueno.
No bueno. Alrighty, so let's kind of get into it here. We've watched 3 shows. We watched My Home Hero, we watched The Galaxy Next Door, and we watched KamiKatsu. So kind of a wide range of shows here, and I think we're gonna kick things off with My Home Hero, which we both kind of liked.
Oh, I really liked it because I was so gripped like throughout each of the episodes, and I'm like, what's gonna happen? Oh my god.
Yeah, really well-paced kind of mystery, crime, Yakuza kind of thing going on here. So I guess let's get into the first episode and just kind of like hash out what's going on here. So it opens with this like mysterious truck crash on a highway, and nothing else really gets explained from this, because then we move right into to the opening theme, and then we meet Toru Tetsuyo, who's our main guy, and he's meeting up with his daughter at a family restaurant, and she's all incognito. She's doing the mask, glasses, and a hat thing, so she doesn't stand out. You think, oh, is she like a celebrity or something? And
yeah, that's the joke that they made. I'm like, is she? And it looks like the dad is like some sort of like editor writer, because he's like fumbling through things, reading reviews on like crime novels, and he's getting really upset by the low reviews. And I'm like, oh, poor guy.
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
Yeah, and so he's meeting up with his daughter, and when she finally removes all of the accessories that she's wearing, she reveals some bruises, it looks like. So Dad's a little bit concerned about this, obviously. The one thing that was interesting to me was like he kind of like undersold it. I'm like, if my kid showed up, beat up, I'd be like, what happened? And he's just kind of like, oh, hey, you don't look so good.
Yeah, what happened to you? Did you fall and stuff? Like, no, these are fucking punch bruises, man. Your daughter's being
big time bruises.
Like,
yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, so he is very strange about it. And
a little strange.
Yeah, and like she's like, what the heck? Like, I don't want you asking questions. And so she starts leaving, and he's like crawling on the floor, just like, come back, and causing a huge scene. I'm like, this guy is weird.
That was a little too dramatic for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, where is this going? Buddy. Where is this going?
So then he ends up following, or at least not following. He goes to his daughter's apartment a little later on. And there's some like punk kids hanging out front, and as they brush past, there's kind of like this, oh, these guys look like they're up to something, and one of them mentions Reika's name, his daughter's name, and then he's immediately set off like, oh no, that's the guy who's been doing something to my daughter.
Yeah, because like he's also bragging. He's like, yeah, I just punched her 6 times, and then and then they mention the name. It's like, yeah, there you go.
I guess like jerks do stuff like that, like brag to their friends about how they like beat someone up.
Like,
I mean,
I don't know. Like, obviously I'm not friends with those people, but like, do they do that? What?
Yeah, right? Like, God, what a terrible thing to brag about.
Exactly.
What a loser.
Yeah, I just fucking kill women.
Whoa, yeah. What I'm about, man.
But yeah, the dad like tries to follow them because he's like, holy shit, this is the boyfriend that's beating my daughter. And as he's following them, he gets confronted by some like seemingly like rando guy who then beats him up, throws him in the like back alleyway. He is like, the main character guy, Tetsuo, is now like naked. And then the guy's like taking pictures of him with his driver's license out to blackmail him later. So it's very strange.
Yeah, that guy, I didn't think it was going to go so extreme. I thought he was going to like give him a talking to or something. And it was like, no, he's going to full on beat him up and intimidate him. And yeah.
And blackmail him with like photos of him being naked. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Wow. This is extreme. Well, that like kind of
is escalating.
Yeah, it kind of sets the mood for like what's to come, because I was also not expecting a few things to happen. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. Most deaf. So Dad goes into the apartment, and he's just kind of like, was he looking around for just like any kind of signs that this guy's, really a bad guy, and he's like evidence maybe to, like help get his daughter out of the situation or something. Like he's just kind of like looking around her apartment.
Yeah, I think he's just like double checking.
He doesn't get very far because then the boyfriend returns, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah, he comes back, and Dad has to panic, and he hides in a closet, and the boyfriend starts talking like some more wild shit. And he's talking about how he's got a bunch of girls kind of in the same situation, and he's if any of them fall out of line or whatever, then he might kill them. So he's he's definitely escalating his threats.
Yeah, he's
and
definitely.
then unfortunately, Dad kind of.
He's definitely establishing himself as like a piece of shit. Cause yeah, he
Yeah.
mentions the two other girls. It's like, yeah, I beat her so bad that she's like basically brain dead, and one like had like organs rupture, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like that's serious, man. Like, how do you get away with this kind of stuff? I guess you know all the intimidation tactics and stuff. Victims just don't want to come forward, but yeah. So Dad's hiding in the closet there, and he's a little bit scared, and he's trying to call Reika or do something to get out of the situation, and he drops his phone, makes a noise. Punk guy finds out, and there's a couple more little distractions, but then it leads to the big encounter where the boyfriend swings open the cupboard door or the closet door, and Tetsuo just leaps out and punches him in the nuts. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
good on
I
him.
mean,
That's the move you make.
Exactly. That is the correct way to take down someone who is like a psychopath.
Yeah. And I mean, Tetsuo is kind of like this mild-mannered, middle-aged dude. He doesn't know anything about how to defend himself. So, I mean, yeah, just go for the nuts.
Yeah, like he like as he was like in the closet talking, like he phoned Reika's phone, and then he was like intimidating him. He's just like, try and take me down. And then yeah, it does the nut punch, comes out of the closet and shit. And then it like hard cuts to like the mom just like randomly showing up at the apartment and like
perfect timing.
Entering in like, oh, I'm here to like help with shit. And all you see is the boyfriend super dead, like bleeding out, with a rice cooker like beside it, and the dad's just like, hey.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then we get then do we get the flashback? Is that when the flashback happens where we get to see him, smoking with the rice cooker?
Yes.
Pretty much. He explains the situation to Mom,
yeah,
right?
And then he's just like beating the shit out of this guy with a rice cooker. I actually was like pausing it, and I'm like, is that a pressure cooker or is it a rice cooker? I'm like, I'll say rice cooker.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think it was the rice cooker.
Yeah, I think so too. I have one, so I should know.
Good bet. He looked at what was available to him in the kitchen there, and a big heavy object to smash some guy's head in. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. And then yeah, the mom is surprisingly chill about all of this happening. And like she's just like reasoning with the dad, just being like, hey, what if like we realize that this guy is probably like Yakuza shit because he has like these ties, and it's like they just dispose of people. What if we did the same and handle things ourselves? And I'm like, what?
Again, like the reaction is like what? Like you would think again that he'd be a little bit more freaked out by a dead body, and apparently your husband, or kind of a estranged husband. Their relationship is strained. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, just okay, all right. I guess we've got to do this now.
Yep. She is, yeah. Mom is totally fine with too many things, as we'll get into detail later as well. But then, just to, complete everything, the daughter comes home. And they're, like, distracting her, making sure she doesn't go into the bathroom where they have shoved the body in the bathtub. And then they start talking about the boyfriend and being like, oh, he's kind of like a piece of shit. And the mom straight up says this, and I've written this down. It's like, people like that should die. And it's just like, whoa! Whoa, mother!
Jeez.
So, yeah. The daughter's not too hyped about that. She's like, he's all I have, and is kind of like missing him. But, yeah, it's very strange situation.
Very strange.
And I think that's the end of episode 1, I think. Oh, no. I just put Minion, because we didn't quite know his name yet. Part of the Yakuza, like the friend, he breaks into the house, lockpicks it when the mom and daughter leave, and he's like about to go into the bathroom where the body is, and everything, and then it's episode 2.
Yes, yeah. Really, really good cliffhangers between episodes in this series, I gotta say.
Definitely.
So yeah, episode 1 does end with that kind of note there where it looks like Tetsuo might be hooped because that other Yakuza guy is gonna find out what's going on. So yeah, nice ender there. And then so episode, I guess I don't know, episode 1 it kind of lays everything out pretty nicely. We get to know Tetsuo, the main character, pretty well. Wife steps in, and so we get a good idea of what the family is kind of like. The daughter, don't really know too much about her. She's a college student.
She knows how to play piano and did a piano track for her dad. So that's why she's so precious to him.
Yeah. I don't know, pretty plot heavy, I guess. First episode doesn't. Lots to get to, so and a lot does happen in this episode, so it keeps it busy. It kept those like 22 minutes like just zooming along, which was really nice.
Yeah, no, it was so good. And then immediately after I went into episode 2.
Yeah, I jumped right into it as well, definitely. And what does Tetsuo do? How does he get out of this one?
So yeah, it kind of continues exactly from where it was, where it's like the other Yakuza guy. He's like starting to open. He's like looking through shit. He starts opening the door to the bathroom, and Tetsuo is designed as a cleaner. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's designed because he has that blackmail image of him, so he has to look different, or else the Yakuza people will recognize him. And he's like, oh, I'm Suzuki. I'm just a cleaner, a house cleaner. Which doesn't seem important now, but remember that name. And he's just like, oh, sorry, I'm looking for my friend. He left his phone here. And then we're left with like this most tense moment ever as he's calling the phone. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna try and find it.
Yeah, that was really intense. I was certain that it was actually going to ring, and there'd be some fumbling and some awkward trying to cover for why the phone was there. But apparently, Tetsuo had taken the initiative to smash the boyfriend's phone, so the call didn't go through. It just said he was out of service area. So the Yakuza buddy is kind of like, oh, well, I guess I'll just take off. He's clearly, his phone's not here.
Whew, so, that was tense.
Whew, yeah, that it was.
I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do learn that the Yakuza minion's guy name is Kyoichi.
Kyoichi, okay, I forgot that.
Yeah, I made sure to write it down because I'm like, there's a lot of characters, a lot of anime I'm going through. I'm like, I gotta write down names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kyoichi is the friend of the boyfriend who's dead, and he's trying to figure shit out.
Yeah, he's kind of the lead Yakuza guy that we follow from this point on, kind of. There's a bunch of other higher up guys and lackeys for Kyoichi as well. So, but he's kind of like the main point of contact for the Yakuza side of things. So then, like, good old wifey, she returns to the apartment with a bunch of supplies for Tetsuo to work with, a suitcase and some tin foil and this copper heating plate thing, and he's got this whole rig set up because he's going to cook the dude's corpse in the bathtub.
Yes, because when you cook stuff, it reduces the meat. So yeah, it takes the moisture out of it and shrinks it. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah. So there was a random scene kind of mixed in here where there was a scene of a cremated body, and there's like it's a young person picking out the bones, which is like a traditional thing that you do. Think it's Buddhism, I think, or it's maybe just a Japanese tradition, but it's just a part of the cremation process. And so we get this little weird scene of a young person picking out some bones. And it's probably a flashback to Tetsuo's childhood or something, but we get no info on that.
See, I thought it was the Yakuza boss's, like, mom who died. Like, the main boss.
Main boss.
That's who I thought it was, because it was, like, sort of, we were, like, getting woven into kind of his story, where it's, like, this weird, like, head of the organization and how messed up he is. But yeah,
Interesting.
that's what I thought it was.
Um, cool. And so Tetsuo manages to boil down the body a little bit, and fits it all into the suitcase, and then starts lugging it around town. Which, man,
Oh
that'd
yeah,
be pretty stressful.
I would be like, I just want to go home, or fucking dump this somewhere.
Yeah, no kidding. Um, and so the mom and Reika had already returned home to the family's house because they didn't feel it. They tried to cover for the whole boyfriend situation by saying that your apartment isn't safe. There's some kind of like stalker or something, or and so they're keeping her at home to keep her safe from any repercussions from the Yakuza. And then Tetsuo returns home as well, and they're trying to have this like big old happy family facade thing going on.
And I noticed that the daughter was watching Netflix, and she puts on Psycho Splatter. But yeah, I was like, huh, Netflix.
Netflix was pretty good, yeah, for all the like little fake made up versions of real things that anime likes to do. I hadn't seen Netflix before,
I
so
was like, oh, that's
funny.
cool. But yeah, like normal family stuff happens, and then it's like the next day, the dad, Tetsuo, and wife, who I don't remember her name, but I might have written it down later.
Kasen, I think, like it's or Kagen.
Ooh, that's not
like
a normal one.
It wasn't a very common name. I was surprised when we finally learned the mom's name.
Well, mom, waifu. Just what she's gonna be.
Waifu.
So yeah, the next day they're discussing what to do. So he's like, oh, I can just dry the bones out, and I can dump, he said 20 kilograms of flesh. He's like, we'll have to dissolve it somehow. And then we're kind of keyed into the mom being a little paranoid and saying that there's a black car outside the house, which Tetsuo said, oh yeah, I saw that when I came home with the suitcase full of, dead boyfriend. And he's like, okay, well, I gotta go get some shit. So text me if they follow me. And he goes to Super Giga Home, which is like, he gets a whole bunch of planting stuff. And while he's there, the Kyoichi's little dudes go through his suitcase because he purposely left some clothing kind of hanging out of the suitcase. And so he knows that it's been tampered with. So he's like, oh shit. Still buys all the stuff for the planting and dissolving that will happen. So yeah.
I like the use of the dummy suitcase, because like when he from what we saw prior to him heading to the home garden center, Giga Chad home. He just put the exact same suitcase into his, like, the family car, and so I mean, like, I wasn't expecting the dummy case, but then when it was revealed to be a complete dummy case, and he had just packed it with some clothing instead, I was pleasantly surprised by that little twist there. I wasn't expecting it entirely.
Yeah,
so
no, I was also expecting cool. Like something different and not thought out, but he's already proven that he's like thought ahead with like the breaking of the phone and stuff. And I also got kind of like flashbacks to like just Death Note, where when Light is trying to track to see if people have come in his room, and he puts like the pencil lead near the hinges so that when the door opens it breaks. I'm like, this is like feels like that kind of shit where he's like leaving out the little sleeve and stuff to see if someone's tampered with it. I was just thinking of that when that happened. I'm like, yo, this is good.
Nice. Yeah. Tetsuo, yeah, he's definitely a smart character here. So yeah, these Yakuza guys are just like on surveillance duty. They're keeping an eye on this family everywhere they go. They're watching them at the house all the time. And then they get a little bit bolder because they've got to try and step up. They're getting some pressure from up above because the boyfriend's been missing for a little while, and so they need to get a lead on where this kid is. Why this particular Yakuza punk is so important, we don't really know at this point, but it seems strange that they're putting out all these resources just to figure out where this punk is. And so when the family all steps outside to do their little gardening, because they're trying to keep up the facade that everything is normal, and he went to the garden center to then start planting some stuff in the garden at their home, they get approached by some, obviously part of the Yakuza gang guy who's trying to pass himself off as a home surveyor or something just to distract the family. Meanwhile,
Kyoichi,
that guy. Kyoichi, that guy. Kyoichi manages to sneak into the house and kind of like bug it with a couple of audio transmitter things. But he doesn't quite stumble upon anything. He comes very close to almost finding some body parts, but he doesn't have the eye for it, and he misses out on that chance.
Although he did notice, because he had to hide in the closet when the family came back inside after the distraction kind of stopped, and he found it very strange that the parents came into specifically the room with the big planter. He's like, that's strange. Why wouldn't they check any other room? But, I mean, obviously the planter has, dead body in it. Mm-hmm. So, but he doesn't know that yet.
He doesn't. So the mom, she notices a listening device after noticing that a piece of furniture has been kind of slightly moved. The imprint on the floor is different. And so she looks, behind and finds that in the electrical outlet they've put in this little audio transmitter recorder device. And then that leads Tetsuo to think that there's probably some more around the house. And they track one down, and then they do this whole little like play thing where they kind of like make it seem like they're kind of onto what's going on, like, oh, it was definitely Reika's stalker from the university. Oh.
Yeah.
And so they make up this whole thing that Tetsuo had composed to kind of throw the Yakuza off their scent, and it seems to kind of work for a little bit at least.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, Reika's stalker. He might have like taken out the boyfriend out of spite. He's that crazy. And then they're like, also, and he might be in that black car that's in front of our house. And then after they say that, they look out and the car pieces out. And yeah, the Yakuza guys drive away.
They're so scared.
Yeah, so... And then, like, at this point, like, it didn't quite click in my head. I'm like, oh, yeah, Tetsuo must be, like, he's a crime mystery novelist, and that's why he knows all this kind of weird shit. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It does kind of make sense. I did like that wifey, though. She asks, hey, is this your first murder? I'm like, what kind of question is that?
Yeah. Wifey. No. But like, I'm also thinking, I'm like, is this your first murder, wifey? Because you're also very cool with this. So I don't know. But yeah, and then the mom's like, we're in this together. And then he gets really sad.
Oh, and then, so yeah, episode 2, it ends just about right here. Everything kind of goes back to normal. For a very short amount of time, and everything seems okay. They're just living their lives. Dad goes to work for a day, but then in the evening of whatever day this is in the future here, they get grabbed. Dad gets tased out in a park somewhere, and a bunch of thugs break into the house and tie up the mom, and that is the way that episode 2 ends.
Yeah, they fucking nailed the cliffhangers for these episodes. I'm just like immediately like go next episode.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just, like the plot just keeps going. Like, there's just no let up here. So I mean, like it's really doing a lot for the viewers to keep everybody super into what's going on. Okay, so episode 3, we get Tetsuo meeting. This is 3 days since Nobuto's murder, so that's the boyfriend's name, I guess. Nobuto.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
So Tetsuo meets up at like what appears to be an acquaintance of his. It's like an auto shop, And I don't know. This is kind of like, I think, our first hint that maybe Tetsuo's got some history somewhere, or like, I don't know. It came off as a little bit sketch that he's got this friend who he does business with, who is out in some weird little industrial district.
Yeah, I did think that as well. I'm like, I don't know what to make of this, but it's strange.
Very strange. I mean, nothing set in stone or anything, but I mean, a nice little clue that maybe Tetsuo's up to something, or at least has some kind of past. The Yakuza, that's fun. The Yakuza are kind of escalating their efforts. They're poking around the college that Reika goes to. And unfortunately for poor Reika, she's being like totally kept in the house almost at all times, basically. It seems, I don't think she's going to school. Like, I don't think she's been allowed out of the house.
No, I think the mom said, hey, you should not go to school for like a week. I'm pretty sure she said that at some point just to keep her safe.
Just lay low, the whole stalker and your boyfriend situation. Maybe it's getting kind of crazy.
So yeah, before, like, because this is happening before they get captured and tased and all that.
Yes.
So Kyoichi is like asked about the stalker, finds out that it was a lie, and he's like, these parents know something, and he's gonna start taking things into his own hands because other Yakuza people are like, no, don't do anything. Do it by the rules and stuff. And he's basically like, fuck the rules. I'm gonna do this because Nobuto's my friend. And so that's when he tasers him, does like saran wrap cling film to the mom's face. But the daughter isn't apprehended yet. So we don't know anything about that. And then, so then we start doing the interrogation where Kyoichi is talking to Tetsuo, who has a like black bag over his head so he can't see anything, which is kind of cool, I thought, in this episode, because when we look at Tetsuo's side of like what he can hear and stuff, there's nothing around him. He's just like black and gray and stuff like that. So
nice
I thought
little
that
effect
was really
there.
Cool.
So he's being held in like a warehouse, it looks like, and there's this kind of like dramatic scene where because he's completely kind of like blindfolded, he doesn't know where he is. He's like kind of been put out on this little platform, and he thinks like he's at the top of some skyscraper.
You're going way
right?
too far ahead, man.
Oh no, am I?
Oh, there's loads of stuff before that. Okay, here we go. I'll let you have that part, but I'll tell you what happens before then.
Okay.
So Tetsuo is still on the floor of the warehouse, and they're beating the shit out of him, and he's like, fine, I'll talk. And this is where I'm like, damn, this was planning and shit. So he says, back in November, they had a private investigator to investigate a stalker, but they didn't tell their daughter about the stalker because she was taking exams, so they didn't want to stress her out.
Right.
And he's like, it was an odd job man named Suzuki, and that's his disguise as the fucking cleaner.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, they'll never find him because it's him. And then during this interrogation, we get a call from the head honcho. His name is Matori. He's calling Kyoichi. And he says he wants to give up. I don't think he wants to. Like, oh no. Matori wants to give up as in he just wants to die. He wants to kill himself because the boyfriend, Nobuto, is his son, and it's like the only reason for him to live is his son who
Yeah.
So yeah, he's dead in a pot right now. But Kyoichi's like, I will find him. And so more interrogation happens.
Right.
And this is where you come in with your thing.
Wow. I skimmed over that very important part there.
Oh, it was exciting. I can see why you wouldn't want to take notes during it, but holy shit.
Yeah, right. Yes, okay, so then we get this little scene where it looks like Tetsuo is being kind of like dangled over the edge of like a really tall building, and he's looking to kind of confess a little bit more information, and Kyoichi is trying to get more out of him, and then just to mess with him, kicks him off of this platform, and that's when we find out that it's actually not at the top of a building. He's hooked onto this kind of like pulley system thing, and he's just being suspended over the floor of the warehouse that they're in. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, same. I was like, how did they get him up there? And it's like, oh wait, no. it was quite
too
funny.
quick.
I was like,
yeah,
that's good. But also the situation is pretty intense.
Do we cut to the mom now? Do we get like the mom interrogation here?
Yeah, so basically the dudes are like, hey, if he's telling the truth, then the wife will have the same story.
And sure enough, we get a little bit of a flashback to a scene where Tetsuo and the wife are talking about, okay, like we got to get our story straight here. If people come asking questions, then we have to make sure that we're totally on script here. And so they had composed that whole thing about we got a private investigator. Our daughter was taking exams, and she follows the script to a T. She nails it. So hearing the same story, the two sets of Yakuza guys are like, okay, well, things are kind of adding up here. We're not getting anything from these guys.
But they do ask one question that wasn't part of the script. I can't remember what it was, but she's just like, shit. She's like, how would Tetsuo answer this? She also notices that they're like really on edge. Like they're looking at their watches, and she's like, if I waste some of their time, they might get more annoyed and won't care about my answer to the question. So she starts talking about how she saw a cat, and that it was run over by a car, and then she saw a poster of a missing cat, and she's like, I hope it's not that one. So she's just stalling for time, and they all get really annoyed. She answers the question correctly, like just guesswork in the end, but they're just so like, fuck this shit. This is a waste of time. We're risking everything for nothing. And Kyoichi's guys start bailing on him.
Is that how the episode ended? Basically, no. Like the entire. Oh my god!
Not quite, man. So another Yakuza guy calls Kyoichi. His name is Kubo, and he's basically like, Kyoichi, you fucked up too hard. I'm gonna put someone else in charge. And Kyoichi kind of loses it, and he goes to kill Tetsuo anyways, because he says, that's
when he says, like, we need a body, right?
Yeah,
like,
we need a body, we need something. But Tetsuo's like, no, I'm gonna make this right. He says, hey, why don't we work together? Because I have info that could lead to Nobuto's whereabouts, because, I had that private investigator and shit like that. And yeah, the episode ends, I have like 2 quotes where he's just like tensely looking at this guy who wants to kill him. He's just like, I'll have to create the right answer, no matter who else we may have to sacrifice.
Oh, that is ominous.
Yeah, I'm just like, where is this going? So yeah, that was the end of episode 3, and I'm 100% gonna continue watching this show.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, how can you not? Like, just like on a flyer, we picked this one up, and we're like, sure, let's give it a shot. Let's give it the first 3 treatment. And wow, I think it really it delivered.
it paid off so well. I am so excited. Yeah. I'm like recommending it to people. I'm like, yo, you want some intense shit? Here you go.
Yeah, like the pacing is really good. Like the art is kind of like, it's okay. It's pretty serviceable. Like, I think it's definitely got that kind of like darker, like film noir kind of, like it kind of reminds me of a lot of that older like 90s 2000s kind of look.
Yeah, it looks old. Is how I like it. Just looks older. Not as polished, no like special treatment, just basic anime.
Yeah, nothing too fancy, but I mean, like, the fact that the writing has held up, and the just the way that the whole plot has been structured has been really solid. And it's interesting, I noticed that the guy who's doing like all of the head script writer guy is a voice actor.
Oh.
And this is one of his first attempts at doing like scripts for a show, Kiyasu Kohei. So props to him for really getting the pacing right, because like, again, we were just like 1, 2, 3, we just rattled these episodes off.
Yeah, I wanted to go further, but I'm like, no, I have to watch the other ones now. But I will come back to this.
We got other trash to watch.
And then I went on to a different show, but we'll save that one to the last.
Yeah. Alrighty, so the next show that we watched was A Galaxy Next Door from Asahi Production Studio. A little bit of a kind of like a romantic comedy, but not a whole lot of comedy, really. It's kind of, I don't know, interesting show. It didn't quite go in the direction that I thought it would. There's a lot of good like rom-com stuff this season, and I thought that this was kind of gonna fit into the bill as in a similar kind of mold, and it does, but bit of a quirky kind of vibe going on here. Not quite sure what to make of it. So let's get into A Galaxy Next Door. Episode 1 starts off with a girl, a kind of a strange, she's dressed in gothic clothing, leaving an island on a boat. Just her standing on like the bow of the boat, just kind of
just ready to go,
and everyone on the island is seeing her off. They're calling her the princess, which okay, sure,
yeah. One of them says, the princess will discover a new world. And I'm like, what? I thought this was a rom-com.
Yeah. What are we getting into here? And it appears that it's just following a funeral. There's a photo of an older looking woman in a black frame, which is always a bad sign. So this girl is leaving for some new adventure or something. And so then we're introduced to our male lead. There's a little bit of a flashback to him at a funeral. So a lot of death early on in this. What was apparently what we thought was a lighthearted kind of affair. But he's at a funeral, and then he's taking care of 2 young children who are his siblings, and then he wakes up from this dream, and he's in a little manga studio. He's a manga artist, I guess. I don't know.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess he is.
That's kind of the whole point of the story, but
whatever. Just his little side gig, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I know.
So this is Ichiro. He's our main guy, and he's in the care of he is taking care of his 2 younger siblings after their father passed away. No mom in the picture here, so I'm not sure about that. I believe she shows up in a phone call at some point, but that's about it.
We'll get to that because that's pretty intense.
Ichiro is a fairly successful manga artist. He has a series in production called Alice and the Knight of Thorns, and so things seem to be going okay for him, but he's still, a struggling artist, and he's trying to, balance life and his responsibilities to his younger siblings. And I don't know. First impressions were that the character design's pretty simple, backgrounds are pretty simple, nothing too flashy. It doesn't look bad. Nothing really stood out as looking like trash or anything. So, but
everything looks a bit like light and airy, is what I got. It's like very bright. It's strange. Like it's like the pastel-y, like very light colory thing.
Yeah.
And we've already had 2 deaths, and it's just like, I don't know. This is the vibe is all over the place. So then Ichiro is looking for an assistant because he's definitely falling behind on his deadlines, and he's a little bit panicked. And he's got a kind of a weird quirk because, everyone's gone to digital for manga production these days, and he's still kind of old school, and he's looking for someone who can work on manuscripts still and can help him out in person. And his company finds him one person who's willing to help out, and this is the strange kind of goth girl with the black umbrella and the frilly black lace dress thing. This is Goshiki Shiori, the princess. Yes, the princess. Goshiki Shiori, who is going to be his new assistant. He meets her so randomly. Like it looks like he kind of like just takes off into the streets of the little kind of like quiet suburban
part of Tokyo that they live in, and he runs into a park, and she's just kind of like hanging out there. She's a little bit lost, it looks like, and he's like, "Hey, you're my assistant, right?" And I'm like, "How did you know this was gonna be the girl?"
Yeah, there's like no one else around. She's on like some sort of like overpass looking thing as well, and I'm just like, this is so strange. But I mean, everything about this show is like this underlying strangeness to it. So
at
yeah,
first,
they
I gotta say, at first I thought that this Goshiki chick, I was like, is she like a Violet Evergarden type? Like she's just like this like doll kind of person. And at first, like, she's very formal with her speech and stuff, and I was like, oh, she's like distant and cold and robotic. What's the vibe here? And I thought of Violet Evergarden.
Violet Evergarden. You know, child warrior, soldier, you know.
Hey, if that turns out to be this girl's backstory, I would also be down for that. That's fine. Just rip it off entirely.
I mean, it is weird enough to go for that.
It could.
So yeah, he hires her, and they get to finish the manuscript. He's very impressed by her work. She seems to do everything very perfectly. And what they like, it's very strange. The setup is like this social apartment where Ichiro is like the landlord, and like just rando people kind of like rent out rooms, and then there's like a communal space, and he has a room for assistants that help him out. So she stays and has dinner by herself, which she prays with and is talking and stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't weird at all.
And so yeah, praying over her food, talking. Yeah.
Yeah, I really found the social apartment idea kind of interesting, because it's like it's not like a roommates situation where you're kind of like friends with the people that you're living with. Like these are all like strangers, and as this is kind of being explained to Goshiki by Ichiro, it's I was like, oh yeah, that does seem kind of weird that you got all these people living in this house together, and they just barely communicate. There's like a whiteboard, and occasionally they'll leave notes on there, but otherwise everyone's just kind of like living their own life. And I don't know, I thought that was just kind of strange. I mean, I think because obviously, you know, big cities like Tokyo are very expensive to live in, so you rent a room, it's much better than trying to find an apartment for yourself. But yeah, just to not have that kind of interaction with your roommates or the people that you're sharing a house with, like, it's a strange kind of concept.
Yeah, it is strange. Also, I'm like, I'd be totally fine with it. I
would also be totally fine with that.
Yeah, I don't like people, but you know, if it makes it cheaper, sure, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe they could start doing things like that over here. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, no, I'm good with my house.
yeah, you got a house, so
I got a house. Yeah,
you're fine. We already get some like light vibes that Ichiro is kind of like crushing on Goshiki. Like he's like drawing, I think, characters for his manga, but he seems to be kind of like also fantasizing a little bit about her, at least kind of like having bubbly thoughts about how cute she is, I think. So
see, I got the vibes that he was just curious about her, and like not like crushing or anything. He's just like, she's strange, but she's good at her job, so this is nice.
It's nice. Yeah. It's nice. I think maybe the tagline for this show, it's nice.
It's nice. It's just nice. But yeah, as they're working, Ichiro notices that he's missing a page, and he's like, oh crap. Finds it under his desk, and like nothing has been done to this thing, and he's just like, shit, we have to pull an all-nighter to finish this. And Goshiki is like, I will help you no matter what. And he's like, oh, this is so nice. And this is where he gets like a flashback of like, because he's like stressing out, and he remembers his mom on the phone. And he remembers this line that I wrote down, because I'm like, this is so mean. It's like, so this is from the mom saying, I know I'm your mother, but I have a new life now.
Oh yeah, that was cold-blooded.
I know. I was like, what? I'm like, you still have like 3 kids, like 2 who are very young. Yeah. And you're just like, nah, fuck this shit. I have a new life. Bye.
Man, I wonder if we're going to ever find out anything more about this mom. because she's I mean, there's got to be a reason. Otherwise, she's just a no good Nick.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate this mom, and she only had one line.
I know, right?
In all these episodes, one line, and I'm like, you fucking bitch.
We hate you, Mom.
We hate you, Mom. So yeah, he's like, yeah, feeling the pressure of this unfinished page. But they're both like, yeah, we'll do this. And they pull an all-nighter. They get it finished. He like packs it away to get it submitted. And then he notices what he thinks to be a pen, like coming out of Goshiki, and he goes to touch it. And would you like to explain what the fuck happens?
Yes, he thinks she's got this pen like lodged in her or something, and so he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this out of you because obviously you could be hurt or something." And he has this like vision of outer space after coming into contact with this what he thinks is the pen, and then Goshiki realizes what's going on, and she's like, "Oh my God, like you've made contact with my stinger." What? And so apparently the stinger is only something that can be touched if you are a married couple, and so there's obviously some kind of, I don't know, reproductive maybe angle to this, and so immediately Ichiro is very embarrassed about what's just happened, and he apologizes for the misunderstanding, and Goshiki gets really serious about, oh, you made the contract now, we're engaged, and now we must honor each other, and she's doing the whole shtick about, we're married, we're basically married
and, I'm the princess of the stars. Yeah.
I'm the princess of the star people. Like, oh.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, right on. I think that's where the episode ends, right? That she says that she's the princess of the star people, and that's just kind of like it. And he's like,
but she does say, she's like, but I want like love to bloom naturally, so let's start as friends. But in the back of her mind, it's like, yeah, we're like in love, but I want to take the steps, just like manga that I've read when I was growing up, kind of thing.
Yes,
like this has to be done properly. It's like, okay. And then we roll on to episode 2.
Yeah. So the first episode, I mean, it sets everything up. Like, what to expect, I think, for this show.
Everything
is there. Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. I don't know. The kids were pretty cute, I thought. The younger siblings. They weren't like too like annoying or in any kind of way. They weren't like, mugging for the camera at all. They were just kind of like cute kids. So, good for Ichiro for wanting to take care of his siblings like that. I mean, he kind of seems like he got them dumped on him by bad mom. So, that's nice. I don't know. It was all just kind of like pleasant, I thought, the first episode.
Yeah. It's just nice.
Just nice. It's nice.
It's just nice.
So episode 2, it's the princess goes shopping, or the princess and a shopping adventure or something. It was the title of the episode, I think.
That's what it was.
So I mean, that kind of like makes it pretty clear what we're gonna get into here. So this is the episode where it's kind of like, okay, so we've established that they've got some kind of relationship, and now let's build the relationship up a little bit here. So they kind of like, having done the work on the manga, they can put that to the side. He meets with his editor very quickly, and the editor's like, great job, awesome, so glad you got that done. And they kind of chat a little bit, and then okay, you're off the hook for a couple days. And so he decides that let's just kind of kick back for a bit. And Goshiki
she wants to go home to like visit her people somehow in the stars or something. But as she's like leaving, she's like 2 stations away. Ichiro suddenly has a like super fever. So then she comes back to him, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, that's my fault. This fever." And so when she's back near him, it kind of goes away.
Yep.
So she's like, "It's because of the star people stinger that you touched. This is what happens with it." And there's another quote that just like makes like, it sounds so out there. It's like, neither I nor you can control the intent of the great star.
I also wrote this down.
Yes! Excellent.
Word for word. Yeah, like what a line.
I'm like, what the hell is this? Physical contact with will lighten the burden of the fever. And I'm like, how convenient. So yeah, the more physical contact they have, the less the burden of the fever. I'm like, okay, cool. Good thing this isn't like a ecchi or shit.
Yeah, God, this could definitely go a different route for sure, and would be a lot more questionable. This one keeps it pretty pure, I'd say.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice.
She moves in. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that's because she's like, okay, well, if we've learned one thing, it's that we can't be too far apart for too long, because obviously, this whole star people stinger thing, it's gonna make you feel kind of bad. And so there's an empty room, and she moves in, and
she's also looking into annulling the pact so that he's not burdened by this fever. So she's like, I'm gonna contact my people, but in the meantime, let's go shopping.
So then they go on a first date kind of thing, and she's looking for some new clothes. She first picks like 3 things that are exactly the same as her initial outfit.
Yeah,
which
I
was
guess.
funny, I guess.
I didn't laugh.
I know. I wanted to laugh, because it was them trying to be cute.
It's kind of cute, kind of nice, but I'm like,
that's it. And then they go to a bookstore, and she's obviously very enamored by this. A lot of her reading that she had done in her childhood was at her grandma's home. Her grandma had all kinds of manga for her, including Ichiro's manga. So that's how she knew him. In a way, was that she had read his manga before. And so the bookstore is obviously just a big treat for her, and so she has a great day out shopping, and I think Ichiro had a pretty decent time as well.
Yeah, they do go to like some cafe thing. I can't remember if it's a cafe or something.
Looked like it.
Yeah, but they have like some food. Oh yeah, she has some like cake and stuff. So yeah, he goes to like the toilet for like a second. Oh wait, no, before that, she tells them of a story about like a kid story about a star, and then like
yes, the legend of like the shooting star or whatever. That was pretty cute. That they chose a different art style for that, and kind of looking more like a kid's kind of like fairy tale, and it was kind of cute.
It was cute until like Ichiro's like, he's the one that tells the story, like a kid's about finding a star, and Shiori or Goshiki is like, oh yeah, I was taught the same thing, except the star was a meteorite with a parasite in it. And it's just like, what?
So, yeah. So actually, you're just this parasitic being or something. Like, oh no.
Yeah. And so that's when he goes to the toilet. Like, I need a break from this. And then he comes back, and there's some scumbags being like, yeah, I like manga and stuff like that. And he's like, you're a pretty girl, and she thinks it's totally fine.
Hey, look, I've made some new friends.
Yeah, I was just like, no, you stupid bitch. No
girl. Oh my god.
No girl. So that's Ichiro's reaction immediately. He's like, no, they're not friendly. And then he tries to pull her away, which he pulls too hard, and it causes bad vibes, is what I put. And it hurts him a bit. And she's like, oh, because I thought it was threatened, I accidentally hurt you. This is also part of the curse. End episode 2 now.
Like what brazen kind of like a pickup artist guys, like, you clearly saw that it was a couple hanging out. She's got they're sharing desserts, and she's got a bunch of shopping bags, so clearly they're on like a little date. Guy goes to the toilet for 2 seconds, and these 2 guys just like swoop in like, hey baby, you're single?
Yeah.
Like, no,
we didn't see anybody.
She's there with her. Yeah, like clearly she's there with what they would assume would be a boyfriend, and they just swooped in for the kill there. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
that was so.
Why would this be the thing?
That's so sudden, and I was like, this is like just tropes.
A lot of tropes. I mean, it is kind of part of it, because like she seems to be living like through all of these like shoujo manga things that she's like read over the years, I guess. And So it kind of makes sense that a lot of these things are actually just happening to her in real life as well. It kind of has that feel to it. Like it's just everything's happening just like it's a manga.
Because she's like following manga as like her way of life. Shouldn't she know that scumbags come out of nowhere and hit on you and stuff? Like that happens in every shoujo manga ever. So
come on, girl.
Learn some
Get
stuff,
your head in
man.
the game. Okay, so then episode 3, what do we get here? So this is something we both noticed right off the bat. It starts out with what looks to be like an adaptation of some other manga, and at first I thought it might have been an adaptation of Ichiro's manga, but it's not. It's of Master of the Lion's Fist, which we don't know quite at this point. But what we both noticed, which was super sweet, is the protagonist that they had to voice the voice actress they had to do the voice of the protagonist in Master of the Lion's Fist was Rie Kagemiya.
Yeah.
One of our all-time favorites.
Yeah. She has such a distinct voice that I'm just like, there she is. She's still doing work.
Yeah, we knew exactly who it was. Like, first line, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
It's funny because I hang out with a lot of people who can do that same thing with a lot of like more current VAs, and I'm not as good at picking out like a lot of the newer talent. But you know, Rie Kagemiya was like in her prime, like for sure. Back in our early anime days, and so we would like seek out shows where if we knew she was in it, we'd be like, okay, this has got to be all right. She's in it.
Standards were low back then.
Yeah, well, and selection was more difficult, and so you'd kind of like take a flyer on a show based on maybe who was on the voice cast.
Very much
and, so. But to hear her still, I'm so glad that she's still getting work because this industry like churns people out so quickly. So I'm glad that she's still in it because she's a real boss. So we get this little adaptation of this manga, and
Yoshiki is like binging this manga, this specific manga, so she's like super hype about it. And like it just starts off with that, and obviously it'll play further in the episode, but we don't get no payoff immediately from there. But they are testing out the distance of retribution, which is the curse that makes Ichiro have a fever. So they've figured it out that she can go like 2 stations away and it's okay, but any further, then she has to come back. There's also emotions and feelings, like her mental state affects him as well. So he'll suddenly, like, there's a few scenes in like this where he's like just doing his thing, he's like doing some manuscripts, and then suddenly he just feels bad and sad, and he's like, oh, I should go check on her, she's probably feeling bad or sad. And turns out like she does, because she's like reading the manga and she's like, oh, it's so sad in this part, and he's like, I feel sad too.
It's so I mean at this point, like what I started to realize, I think it was probably around this episode, I guess, when I was starting to kind of clue into what I think is going on here, is like they're kind of like making it out that all of these like weird feelings that they're having, you know, when someone goes away and they feel sad, and it's like it's because of this curse that we're under. But like, isn't that just like being in love with a person, and when they go away you miss them and stuff, and when they're feeling bad you just kind of like know that they're having a bad day? Like once you get to really know someone, like, I mean, you just kind of pick up on these things, right?
Yeah. Like they've only known each other for like a month, though. It's
true. It's true. Like in this case, these two are not sure as to what all of this actually means. But once I kind of made this connect, I guess it's not very not very profound connection, that it's this idea that it's just, this is what a relationship is. And I don't know, it made it a little bit sweeter that they're having all these like kind of like cute, like, oh, you know, I it's just like when he's away I miss him, or when she's away I miss her, kind of thing. I was like, oh, it's just nice. It's actually, we're just back to that again, I guess.
It's just nice.
It's just nice.
Yeah. It's just nice. Yeah, they're also in this episode, after all of that, they're like testing out stereotypical shoujo manga situations, like the like wall slam and leaning and talking close to their face and stuff, and you know, cute situations and stuff. And at this point, I put a note down to myself. I said, their relationship is strange. I don't actually know where this is going.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Because, I mean, like, it could just go like, hey, they actually just fall in love. Or I don't know. Like, yeah, because it is very strange. They could just bail on it entirely. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Like, what was so strange?
Like, just because I don't think that Ichiro actually is like in love with her. He's just there for the ride. He's like, this is a weird specimen that I'm observing and sort of part of kind of thing. Especially because she has a stinger and she's the princess of the stars and stuff like that. So it's just like, he just seems like an outsider to this. He doesn't seem like the male like love interest, but he is somehow. Right. And I'm like, this is confusing.
I guess, yeah, like by this point, like a lot of these kind of like romance kind of shows, like you do get at least some point where the male, protagonist is like, hey, maybe I kind of actually like this girl. Because, like, that's happened in, I think I've watched, like, 3 different romance shows, 3 or 4 even this season. And, like, by that stage of the game, like, yeah, usually there's some kind of scene where he's cluing in. But he seems pretty oblivious, you're right. That these things are just kind of, like, happening to him. And he's being very, just, like, clinical. I'm thinking of like clinical. Like
okay.
Like he's treating everything just like, okay, this is happening. Okay, I touched the stinger, and now okay, these things are happening, and there's not even the slightest inclination that he's like, oh, actually, she's cool. I like her.
It's very
none of that.
Like, dry on his part, where it's just like there is no fluff. Even though he's a manga artist, a shoujo manga artist, it's like no. It's like he's treating it as like a job.
Almost,
like,
yeah.
That's his job.
Whereas even Goshiki is kind of like, I'm kind of like having fun with this, Like, I mean, I don't think she's even said at this point that she likes him or not, but I think she's having like at least some kind of fun, and she's reacting to things a little bit more than he is.
And yeah, it kind of like once it starts getting into cute things like that, where they're doing the situations, it comes back to his job as the manga artist, where this episode leads to an old tenant of this social apartment, Mokane, who visits. He's a childhood friend. She's married to Ichiro's editor. And she just kind of like comes to hang out, and she used to be one of his assistants. And we also find out that she is Beefcake Sensei, who is the one who created Fist of the Lion, whatever thingamajig at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, so that obviously makes Goshiki kind of fangirl a little bit.
Fangirl and jealous, because she's like, oh, childhood friend, and stuff like that. But then she's also like, yo, it's Beefcake Sensei.
I love the name, Beefcake Sensei. What a great pen name.
Yeah, that's just top notch.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the end of this episode, even though you just mentioned this earlier, like, I don't know if she has feelings for him, Goshiki confesses her love to Ichiro and is so hyped by it. And she's like, oh my god, it's love! And he looks so confused. And then it ends.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, what?
He's very oblivious. Yeah, because she's really following. She's going through all the steps, like, she felt the jealousy. And so she's like, oh, I wouldn't feel this otherwise, and then she just goes back to her reference material, just being shoujo manga. She's like, oh my god, jealousy means I must be in love. Yep. And so that's why she brings out that whole confession thing. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, she's getting along with this whole whatever is happening between the two of them. And yeah, Ichiro just still very oblivious,
so confused by everything. It's quite funny.
Yeah. I think that was pretty much it. Oh, Goshiki wanted to do something nice for the neighbors, which I thought was kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
She gave gifts to everybody and left them little letters, introducing herself formally, and then they all wrote little messages on the whiteboard for her. So that was kind of
just
nice.
Filler in the episode that I just completely forgot about.
it was a little bit of a filler.
No payoff whatsoever. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
No, but it was a nice moment. Again, it was nice. It was nice.
Just nice.
It was nice. Yeah, I feel like that was this show in a nutshell. It was nice.
Yeah, it was nice, but I'm not going to continue with it.
I don't think I have the time to continue it either, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I could see myself perhaps just skimming through it just to see. And now that I've kind of had, this little first look at it, like, just to see how it goes, like
Yeah,
do they end up together.
I'm way more interested in like the whole I'm from the fucking stars. Like, what is that about? And like as soon as you get like a little like dusting of that, it's like, nope, here's some shoujo stuff in between, and it's never talked about again. We're just gonna live with this. I'm like, oh my god, tell me more about that.
Yeah, you star meteorite parasite girl. Let's learn about
like
that.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well, it was nice.
Yeah. It was nice. Just nice.
All right, so our final show for this episode is KamiKatsu, which got a lot of social media heat for a ridiculous meme image of a guy riding on a tractor that had clearly just been painted over an actual image of a tractor or something. It looked unreal.
Wow, I didn't even know that existed, and I'm going to look it up after this now.
Yes, yeah, that's what set this whole thing. That's why I wanted to check out this show. It was like, there's no way that this is real. Like, how is this show in existence?
Wow, I went in fully blind. I didn't even know about tractor Photoshop or anything. You just told me to watch this, and I'm like, okay, cool.
It absolutely just blew up. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. Okay, so KamiKatsu comes from Studio Palette. They're all right. The director is Yuki Inaba, and scripts by Akashiro Aoi. These are like regular people that are, have done some things.
Wow.
Nothing too fancy.
You're really selling them.
But but they're not like nobodies, right? Like, so they've been in the industry for a while, and so you're like, okay, how do they all get roped into this project? So what is this show about? It's an isekai type deal. We've got Yukito, who is the son of a shady cult leader.
A very burly man cult leader.
Very. And he is sacrificed to the cult's god, Mitama-sama, and as part of a ritual where he will be reborn as the new leader of the cult.
If he can survive 3 days underwater.
Oh, is that what it was? I didn't write that part down.
Yes. Right. Yeah. 3 days underwater, you'll become the new leader. It's like, he's going to die.
He's just going to die. He's going to die. And so, yeah, he gets murked, and he wakes up in a fantasy, generic fantasy land, in a little small hamlet. So immediately,
how does he wake? Yeah, how does he wake up?
how does he wake up? I didn't write anything.
You didn't. Oh, so he wakes up, and there's this girl reading a book saying if you pull the lever, then he'll wake up, and she's just straight up jerking him off.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god, that's right. Oh. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's getting jerked off, but he's like, oh my god, and she says sorry, and her name is Arura. Arudal. It's like the worst fucking Japanese name to say in like Japanese, like Arura.
Yeah, like Aruraru?
Al.
We'll call
her name is Al.
Her name is Al. Okay. That works much better. Wow. I don't know how I didn't write that down. My first note was he just starts wondering about where all the isekai staples are. So he's very obvious. He realizes that he's in some kind of isekai world or something. But man, I don't know how I just like completely glossed over the whole jerk off scene off the bat.
You missed that, and then right after that, there's a fucking CG ass fox creature just there as they're explaining the world and stuff before they're like, oh, Fantasyland. I'm like, what is going on?
It Chiru Chiru or whatever is what it's called, right? Oh, it stands out so badly. Like, why is it 3D? Why couldn't you just draw that 2D?
It's fully 3D, except its eyes are drawn anime eyes.
They're
I
drawn
don't understand. Yes. Yeah. So, anyways, you can continue with like the good part of this, which I thought was fun.
I guess the good part of this, yeah. Okay, so he's he's like, where's the Adventurers Guild? Where's like the sword and shield stuff? Like, and instead he's working on a farm making wine, and he's kind of like bummed out by it. Then we meet like all the cast. There's the pretty boy Clen. There's the jerk-ass, who we then find out to be as a insane pervert, Roy.
Insane pervert.
There's Siruriru, who
Sil.
I guess we're just gonna call Sil.
Sil.
And then there's Aruraru, who's Al.
Al.
Okay,
Sil and Al are sisters.
Sil, Al are sisters. Got it. And yeah, then that horrible beast shows up, the horrible CGI monstrosity. Oh no, there's two monstrosities. There's the chill little fox thing, which is just terrifying, and then there's the beast that comes in and takes a shot at the farm, and that thing looks awful as well.
Yeah, like, oh, I can't even describe it. It's just so fucking weird.
Yeah, it's got like horns, and it's got like this like a lot of teeth, but they're like I think that I don't know. It's gray. It kind of like it's kind of like rhinoceros like, but then it's got two horns.
See,
I don't know.
I thought it was like a gray yak, but its face is blue with like a pig snout, and there's teeth.
Oh, so it's kind of like Ganon.
Kind of, except really ugly and dumb.
Way worse.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's such bad CGI, like painful.
So yeah,
Painful.
Yukito and Roy just run away from this thing. He thinks they're gonna fight it, but they just escape. And then he realizes, like, he's talking to Roy, and he realizes that gods don't exist in this world. Then we get him like finding a dead creature, and he's like, wait, what is the concept of burial and stuff like that? This is where the show, I was like, you know what? This could be good. Like, if they continue with this kind of questioning, like, how do you bury something in a godless world? What do you do? What are the customs and stuff? And then it kind of just cuts to them going to the city, which also kind of adds to like more of it, which is like that their village, like the village that he ended up in, is full of like despised people, and you're like, oh, why is that? And then we get a glimpse of the end of life system, where people just are like told to die, and they die, and you're just like, what the fuck is wrong with this world?
So this imperial capital or whatever, it's got this big like imposing army presence, and so it seems like they kind of rule with an iron fist. And yeah, the whole like end of life mass execution thing, they just line some people up in the street. What did they chop their heads off? Drink poison? Okay, so
no, they just drank something.
Okay, so that I guess is more like what a cult would do, I suppose. So I guess we're kind of keeping with that, the theme of Yukito coming from a family who was involved in a cult, I guess. So that kind of checks a little bit, but. So, you know, the more I think about this, like this first episode gave us a couple different things that you're like, oh, okay, yeah,
there's
like,
potential.
This could be interesting.
There was potential. Like, yeah, we see this. The village, we learn, is an isolation camp, and we're like, okay, this sounds like, you know, World War II vibes of like isolating certain peoples who are outcasts.
Yes, and you just be like free willy-nilly just executing them when you feel like it, you know.
So yeah, they get picked to just die for whatever reason. But this keeps getting interrupted with dumb shit. So like you come back from learning the end of life system, the isolation camp, and you're like, wow, this is some heavy shit. And then you get back to the village, and Al is trying to do like bondage with Yukito, and it's just like, what? And then she says she's sorry, and it's like, what the hell? The vibes are everywhere.
All
the pacing is weird.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Oh my god. So when do we actually get Mitama showing up? Was that the very end of the first episode?
Very end of the first episode,
where it looks like Yukito and Roy and Al are kind of like in danger because the army sees that they are outsiders and they shouldn't be in the village.
I can do this part if you'd like, because I have notes leading up to that.
Great.
Cool.
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
All right. So after the bondage session, they go to bed, and Yukito gives his necklace, the Magatama, that he got from his cult leader, and he gives it to Al. I don't know if this makes any sense later, but it didn't come up after this, but he does that. And Al says, "I'm glad I met you." So that's, sad sounding. And then the next day, Al and Sil have been chosen to be sacrificed, and we find Roy is beat up outside of the house, and then suddenly there's a CGI chicken carriage where Clem is like riding it, and he's like, "Hey, we can go save them. Let's stop the people in the city." So they get to the city, and Sil is already hanged and dead. Like, you see it. She didn't see the process. You just see her hanging dead body. And it's like, whoa, this is brutal. This is intense. Then as Yukito's there, he gets stabbed by this knight. And then Al gets slashed in the back, and they're just like both dying. And he's like, oh my god, this is actually like interesting, intense, holy shit. And then he starts to pray to Mitama, which is the god that his dad worshipped and stuff. And do you want to describe how she comes to being?
I mean, do I even remember? My notes are very, I don't know, maybe you go ahead. Have you got notes for this?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, keep going. You're on a roll.
The only notes I have is Lolly God emerges and solves all the problems.
You know what? I think that covers it pretty much. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah. She revives everyone who is dead. Absorbs all of the enemies, and the people watching just fuck off.
Yeah, that's you know what? That is what happened. You're right. Good job. Little lowly goddess.
Cool. Yeah. Yep. No, I don't like her.
Yeah, she's really annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, that's the end of episode 1.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, this one was just all over the place.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to be funny or super serious and like dark? It's funny and dark, and then dumb.
Yeah, it was just tonal whiplash, just going crazy. Okay. So we open up with episode 2. We were just chatting a little bit about the episode titles being super long, which was kind of funny. And that that a character would be reading the episode title and then get cut off.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
Like very just like hard cut, like
yeah.
It was like, okay, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, not bad. So we get Yukito, Roy, and Al come back from the capital, and everyone is like shocked. They're in the village. They're happy, and so everyone gets drunk, and is a big old party.
Yep. Al gets very jealous of Mitama because she's all over Yukito that she loves. So there's that stupid drama where she's like, "Am I good enough for you?" and stuff. We learn that the end-of-life system was introduced by the Emperor, who is extremely suspicious, and grows even more suspicious as to what the fuck this Emperor is throughout these episodes.
It's probably his dad, right?
That's what I'm thinking. It'd be something stupid, like, because this show is just stupid.
It's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
So yeah, the guys are all getting drunk. The girls are trying to get Mitama in some clothes because she's walking around like naked a lot, or like in like she's got like tan undies on and stuff, and so she just looks like nothing but lowly fan service the entire time, and so they're trying to put clothes on her. It's awkward.
Yep.
And Roy is just like horn dog over her like so much. It's really off-putting. Like throughout the episode.
And she looks like 10.
Episode
so
2,
it's like
episode
really
3,
bad.
Like, Roy is just enamored with her, and it's really bad.
Like, and he pulls like faces that you would see in like Attack on Titan, where it's just like intensely detailed, horny, weird faces.
Yeah, it's like this weird. Yeah, it's like Attack on Titan meets like hentai. Like, it's just like levels of like almost like O-face kind of stuff. Like he like gets off like all the time about this chick, and it's a problem.
Yeah, a big problem. But the bigger problem, segue, is that Mitama doesn't have any followers in this world because there are no gods in this world, so therefore there is no religion in this world. So she has no power. So Yukito declares, I will introduce religion and gods to this world, because he wants to use Mitama's power to overthrow and protect the village or whatever. Basically use god powers.
Yep.
So Roy becomes the first follower.
Yep.
And then we got this stupid CGI fox that dies and then comes back.
Oh yeah, I don't know. What do you do with that thing? I mean, why does it exist?
It's our family. No, it's not.
Oh no.
As suspected, perv horn dog Roy is the first to become a follower of Mitama, because he's just worshipping her all the time and like being so horny. But they need more people, so Q, the CGI fox thing, Churu, who suddenly is like the most important thing ever to Al and Sil, and it ate some like pesticides or something and just fucking died on the table. But Mitama, with Roy as her one follower, manages to revive the fox, and then she gains 2 more followers with the 2 sisters, but gains more power because they witnessed like some godly act, and I don't know what that has to do with anything because it's never mentioned again.
Well, you know what's interesting is I think I actually saw in the manga, which, you know, I think this anime is doing.
You read the manga?
I took a peek at it. I skimmed through a couple of chapters to see like what the because this show is such a strange mess that I was like, is it because the source material is so weird? And the source material actually looks decent. Like, I mean, it's your typical like kind of isekai fantasy, whatever, blah blah blah. Then nothing about that is different, but it looks fine. The art's pretty decent. That scene where Churu dies, I don't think it happened. I don't think it happened in the manga. Oh. I don't even think Churu is like around. Like every panel that I clicked on, I did not see this thing, and I found that scene, and I don't think that. I found where that scene would have been, where the girls become followers, and Churu is not even there. And maybe I missed it, but I like that. I don't know what the deal is with Churu.
It's just there to die and become revived so that they can get followers. That's it.
So they, yeah, because I think in the manga the girls were just like, oh, okay, cool. We'll also go along with this plan, and then they're like 2 more followers. Ding ding.
Yay. But then. The last thing, this is the episode, guys. This, like, from episode 2, this is all that's happened. It's fucking bullshit. So right at the end of the episode, they're like, hey, let's return those guys that you absorbed into you when you revived us all in the city, and let's talk to them and maybe try and convert them to our religion. So Mitama releases them, and the knight that, like, stabbed Yukito and killed Al as well is now a woman for no reason. No reason whatsoever. And fully naked, by the way, for no reason. The other,
of course.
Guards that were also absorbed are fully clothed, so I have no idea what happened.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, poor Bertrand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just stripped naked.
And a woman.
And gender swapped. Yeah. Like, okay.
Cool. Awesome.
Why?
Nice.
All right.
So yeah, that leads us to episode 3, where more confusing plot stuff happens. Do you remember what happens in this?
Well, okay, what have I got here? I've got Bertrand goes back to the capital, but she's turned away at the door because they're like, who are you? You're some chick. And she's like, I'm Bertrand. And they're like, nope. And then Bertrand's a guy. And so she's like, all right, fine.
I have his sword. No, it doesn't matter.
You're not him.
We're also introduced to like the Emperor's like secret elite like weapon warrior things. So there's this like lowly chick named Attar who can like destroy a mountain, and it's just like kind of eliminating those CGI beasts everywhere. And then it's like tasked to go to the village and do something there, but it's like, okay, so this emperor makes people die and has these lowly weapons. So very strange.
Very strange. Okay, and in this episode, like they start to really build on the how to gain more followers aspect, I guess, of things. And so they're trying, Yukito is trying to think back to the real world, and what kind of tactics he might use to help Mitama gain some more followers. I guess like it's kind of like a decent pivot, because they then like kind of like doll up Mitama as like a mascot character, because he sees that these people aren't really buying her as this like divine goddess because she doesn't have enough power to do anything, and so he kind of enlists like Bertrand to like do like feats of strength and stuff and go, oh, it's because the goddess compelled her to do so, and that kind of stuff. They kind of go with that kind of in that kind of direction and make Mitama kind of this like mascot, and kind of like just this, I don't know, it kind of works.
I'll also add that he's like kind of like gamifying like religion and getting followers, and yeah, like you said, he's using like his world knowledge, but he's also using like just basic stuff and like passing it on as the knowledge of the gods, where it's just like, here's how you refrigerate and store like fruits and meats to last longer. And they're like, oh my god, these pots that can store stuff, they keep the food longer. And it's like, this is the gods, oh my god. So there's all that. I'm
really glad that Yukito had Roy making all of those, because that's what he deserves.
Yeah, no.
he was to toil away in a dungeon alone and make all of these Zir pots or whatever they're called.
I did not know what pots they were, but I know he was making pots.
Zir pots.
Zir pots. All right.
Yes.
Look it up, guys. Learn something.
Yeah. There's like some fan service between Yukito and Bertrand, obviously. But it was all in the service of seeing if what Bertrand's like skills were, I think, and they like kind of
how magic the sword is.
yeah, but they kind of played it up for ecchi kind of like yucks or whatever. So there was that.
You're also missing the two sisters, Al and Sil, forcing Bertrand into various costumes that get skimpier and skimpier throughout the episode.
Looking back on that, I was kind of like, all right, like maybe it's kind of funny, because like the last one that she ends up in is like this she looked like a
peacock,
like a peacock, and she looked like she was participating in like carnival or something, like it was very skimpy with lots of feathers and stuff.
Yeah, it does get ridiculous. I'm like, but where are they getting these outfits? Like,
true. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Sil and Al like secret seamstresses or something. Like, yeah, how are they pulling this off?
I don't know.
I like that there was a meeting between Yukito, Sil, and Klen as the smart ones in the village. I like that they made that distinction, like we're the only ones with brains in this place.
Yep.
Because everyone else is just drunk and stupid.
And then Sil ends the meeting by getting drunk. It's just like, oh, damn.
All right.
We had faith in you. But they did discuss like how to tackle the Imperial city that's possibly going to destroy them, and they can't rely on Mitama, and their discussion was like, can we relocate the village somewhere? And they're like, nah, that's pretty much impossible. But they also like drop in that there are also other like isolation camps like all around the city, and so obviously my prediction, because it didn't happen in this episode, they're probably gonna go to all the camps and liberate them and make their own fucking religious cult army. But that didn't happen in this episode, but that's what seems to be maybe happening.
Right, yeah. And that is kind of where it ends off. I don't think, like, oh boy, if I'm trying to think about this like objectively, if like I was like kind of a fan of isekais to begin with, and like would this first 3 episodes be enough for me to keep going? Oh, I don't know. Like, well, I don't think I'm gonna keep watching this show. I have way too many more important, much better shows to watch. But like, if they keep Roy in the basement for the rest of the series,
great. Awesome.
so that he can stop hitting on poor Mitama. Like, that automatically improves it, like a millionfold.
Well, all right, so are you like concluding that the episode's finished because you've missed a major, massive, very important part?
Did I?
Yeah.
My final note is everyone crashes the pub and gets crunk. So my note's not good enough.
No, well, you mentioned this right at the beginning of this whole part of the episode. The fucking meme that you mentioned is right at the end of this episode, where
was it?
Yeah, Yukito was like, he was like in a down moment. He's like, I there's no fucking way we're gonna do this. He has a flashback of his dad saying, gain followers. He's like, don't overthink it. And he makes a statement that he's like, I'm gonna take this village 500 years into the future. And then it goes 1 month later, and we see windmills. We see hosing down the farms, and fucking tractors, bright red tractors. And that's how the episode ends. You just see all this future shit, and it's like that took him a month.
How did he make these? Is it Mitama that's like got enough followers now that she has the power to manifest them? Like,
maybe. Like, I don't want to know because I'm not going to continue with it.
Oh, right at the very end there. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so does that then make it worth investing further in? No, I mean, no, it doesn't. No, the show is no good.
It does not.
It's no good.
It does not. No, it's gone. It's horrible.
Oof.
Like, it had good ideas,
mm-hmm.
but it was just interrupted by so much like smut and dumb shit that I'm like, oh, and the CGI stuff was just ruins it entirely.
Really bad.
But they had good ideas. Like, yeah, the whole, like, the first episode where it's like, what do you do? How do you bury something in a godless world?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh wow, that's something I never thought
mm-hmm.
of. And then it's just like, hey, bondage and boobies and
mm-hmm.
and I'm a woman now, and I don't know. I want to fuck lollies. It's
yeah.
like, no.
Oh yeah. And like it doesn't like look great for the most part. Like, it's pretty bland. The character designs are like okay, I guess. And the thing is, like, again,
it's like very gray.
And again, compared to the manga, I think even like the characters in a manga like look pretty decent, and then they just kind of get like blah-ified in this, unfortunately. So like I it's funny because, like, again, like, the source material doesn't look terrible, and I'm just wondering, like, is this all like a big joke? Because, like, we didn't even get to like the meme thing that happens, I think, in the next episode with like the ride-on tractor thing that looks terrible.
I did see that at the end of episode 3 here. Like, there's a dude riding a tractor, but I didn't see if it goes on any further, which it probably will.
Right? Like, I mean, like,
so.
is it all like a big like joke? Like, and they're just like, everyone's just having like a good time, like, just being stupid with this? Like, it's just because it seems so discombobulated and weird. And
well, I will tell you that KamiKatsu currently is standing at 4.5 stars out of 5 on Crunchyroll with 10K votes to it.
Wow. So apparently people are big fans.
It's great. I love it.
Wow. That's, I wonder if they all just came for the memes and they're lapping it up.
So it's just troll votes then.
Troll votes. Oh my God. This is sending all the wrong messages to the anime industry at large, that you can be a terrible production and really, really awful, and it'll work somehow.
No. That very rarely happens.
Yeah, no. And this, yeah, it's just it's not nice. It's not
nice.
No, I don't like.
No. Very much no.
Oh boy. Well, we sure did watch 3 shows. One, My Home Hero, legit good. Legit good.
I am so excited to watch more of that. The other ones, nah.
Unfortunately, not going to make the grade, I don't think. But no, My Home Hero was a lot of fun. I'm glad that you picked that one out and that we could chat about it.
Yeah, the description of it, I'm like, ooh, this might be too dark for like, I don't know, just podcast discussion. But no, it was good.
It was good.
I'm glad.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, thanks, Sam, for hanging out with me.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to join me for this.
Yeah, no problem. I will join in another time when there's new
absolutely.
anime out.
Yeah, well, maybe next season hits, we'll pick another couple of shows to watch.
Sounds good.
Right on. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
So that's going to do it for this week's episode of The First Three. Shout out to my sister again for hanging out and chatting with me about some shows. That was great. And for next week's episode, because it is Pride Month right now, we're going to look at some LGBTQ plus anime, and we'll talk about what representation in Japan looks like. So thanks again for tuning in, and hey, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thefirst3, if you're interested in supporting this podcast and hopefully others like it eventually down the road. That's all for now. See you next week.